What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Chaotic Minds. As always, it's Winged.
And the midget.
And this is
Going to be the new norm.
Forewarning you two things. One, this is going to be the norm until stuff, at our other jobs, changes.
Yeah, surprise! We get a schedule change. How long do we get notice? 24 hours.
Which legally, that's all they're required to do.
Yeah.
But the other thing is, today is going to be a bit of a different pace than what we normally do. So,
Yeah.
as you all are aware, typically what we do is we do a couple of topics, and we just stick to we try to stick to just the topics. We go off on little trails every now and then, but we always bring it back around to the topic that we're talking about. Today, however, we could not think of anything.
So let's see how far off that bunny trail we go before we get lost.
We've done this a few times before, and we're bringing it back. We're going to be hitting the bunny trails today. So, with that being said, welcome to Chaotic Minds, where this is an episode that envelops or is not envelops. That's a bad word.
We go over there, up there.
It is defined by the name of the show. I did want to start off with something, and it is touching back on what you had said about our schedule shift, the shift changes.
Kill me now.
I am so this is irritating because while on one hand it makes for a good paycheck if you're on one side of it, right? Where you only take a day off of your normal work week. In my case, 2 days off. But you take a day, you get some sleep, and then you're back up the next day on a day that's supposed to be off, right?
Yeah.
I mean, this week for me personally, I'm going to be getting 52 hours worth of work.
And I'm at 48.
So it on one hand, it is extremely tiring, but the paycheck is great. The problem that I have with it, the main problem that I have with it, is what led up to this. Because part of the shifts that were there were already shorthanded to begin with. We should have X amount of people, as per everything.
Swings and graves were screwed.
And yet, everybody, it seemed like, was getting assigned to just days. And then a bunch of people from my shift either got fired or quit.
Yeah.
And then they're just like, oh, well, we're going to have to make it work for right now, And it wasn't working great.
I was coming in early. Other people from my shift were coming in early.
But it was still working.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, hey, everybody, it's mandatory. Everybody now is on 12-hour shifts.
4 days a week.
Which a 12-hour shift is, 4 days a week is great because you get 4 days on, 3 days off.
That's the best part about the schedule.
But why weren't they focusing all of their attention on getting people hired before this happened?
Yeah.
Like they knew that they were going to lose somebody. Now, granted, they thought they had 2 weeks, but
yeah,
why weren't they and then they knew that they were going to fire 2 other people. Why were they not already looking to replace those people?
Why didn't they have somebody hired before they fired them?
Yeah. And they can go ahead and say, oh, well, it takes X amount of time to go ahead and do this, so that's why we need a month before after the acceptance letter and before they start. It takes roughly anywhere from 24 to 72 hours to do a full comprehensive background check, financial check, criminal, all of that check. And then for blood work, it takes a few hours. I mean, we see blood work all the time get done, and we can tell within 20 minutes of the blood being sent to the lab how drunk they are, if they have any sort of, for like drug on hand, or if they've had done drugs, that kind of stuff. Why does it take a month to go ahead and get somebody? I mean,
That's $1 million question.
we according to them, we've offered at least a dozen people positions, and these dozen people that have accepted them, after like a week or two, they're like, well, I can't afford to wait a month, so I found something else that's hiring right away. So I'm gonna go back on the acceptance. I'm gonna pull the acceptance back, and I'm gonna work at this other place because it gets me in sooner.
Or my personal favorite, they hire somebody for Graves, and then the boss is keen on another program manager, so they send him to that location instead.
Well, that was prior boss.
Yeah. This new one's trying to straighten things out, but we haven't really gotten to see a whole lot yet.
I have opinions on what's been done, and I have opinions on conversations that have happened, and unfortunately, it's two different opinions. On one hand, conversations that have been had are very positive. They are appreciative. It's like, yeah, I'm going to set this up. I have a plan. I'm going to get a plan set. But then actions with it are a complete 180. Like, and that's why I am the way that I am. Like, if I tell you I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. If I say, hey, I'm getting this planned out, I'm getting it planned out. If I tell you, hey, I'm working on this, I'm working on it. And I do everything within my power to make sure that it gets done to the extent that it needs to be. Why go ahead and tell somebody, oh, I have this in mind and this in mind, and then do none of that? Well, our hands are tied. Our hands are tied because of corporate. Okay, that could be the case, and I'm not going to deny that. That could absolutely be the case. But then why tell me one thing? Why say something? If I don't know how something's going to go, and you can attest to this, if I don't know the answer to something, do I give you an answer?
No.
What do I tell you?
Wait and see.
Or,
no.
I don't know. Hey, did you know this? No. What do you mean? I don't know. Well, how do you not know? Because I don't get paid enough to pay attention to that stuff. Oh. Okay, well, this is what I heard. Oh. Are you sure? I don't know. This is just what I've heard. And that's like 90% of how, like, if we don't know something, that's how we pass along some information. And then one of us can go ahead, and the person who was told then goes ahead and it's like, hey, to the supervisors or the bosses or whatnot, it's like, hey, is this happening? And then they get the yes or no, and then that either prompts everyone to find out, or whoever was told by the supervisor then tells the other person. Like, you went ahead and you were told that there was a possibility and a probability that we were moving to 12-hour shifts.
Yep.
You told me. I was going to go ahead and find out. And then the day that I was going to go ahead and find out, I get told, oh, hey, by the way, as of Wednesday, we are moving to 12 hours. And this was on Monday. And my schedule is changing. Everyone's schedule is changing. And it's just like, okay, that's fine.
And then we find out we're both on overnights and we both work Thursday nights, which is really weird because they agreed not to put you on an overnight on the same night. I'm on an overnight so that we had somebody here.
Yeah.
Yeah. And my supervisor, one of the female supervisors, even said that this is ridiculous because she made our program manager very aware that we were together, and he knew that. And she made him very aware that we have a child on the autism spectrum that really shouldn't be left home alone overnight.
I mean, he can be. He is highly functional.
Yeah.
And very intelligent, but
with what's been going on around the apartment building lately, it's definitely not safe. And they agreed that they would never put us both on shift overnight at the same time.
How they can get around it, however, is Thursdays, I'm not at the main campus.
Yeah.
You would be.
Yeah.
Or you are, as of this new shift.
Gay.
That's how they can get away with it. Well, they're not on at the same. They're not on at the same time, at the same place. Because God forbid, you and I work the same shift together.
Yeah.
Well, we're worried about if she becomes a supervisor, how that would look. You ain't looking to make Midget a supervisor. Let's be honest here.
Well, even if they were, I've
pointed
out.
Me a supervisor.
I
don't brown nose or kiss ass to nobody.
And that's the thing is, like, even if they did look to me as possibly becoming a supervisor, I am not a nice person. Like, I will straight up follow policy to the letter. And if somebody steps out of line, regardless of who it is, I'm going to say something to them.
And I'm the same exact damn way.
And the thing is what they don't see is that with you, I'm even harder on. Just like I was when I had to work with my ex. And he was, I don't want to say beneath me because that's really not the word I was talking about. But like...
Lower on the company totem pole.
Exactly. I was his boss.
Yeah.
And I wrote him up.
Yeah.
Because he made a mistake that you get wrote up for, and everybody is like, oh, she didn't give him special treatment? Well, that's a shock. Well, no shit. Business and home are two different things.
Yeah. Now, I can't...
You fuck up, I'm going to say something to you.
Now, I can't honestly say I've ever worked with somebody who I was dating, because I made it a very clear thing when I was growing up that you do not mix business with pleasure. You know, there were a couple of times where I had opportunities to date a coworker. And every single time I said, no, we can't. Because I don't want to ruin what we may have because of where we work at. And, I mean, biggest example of that, I almost dated one of my coworkers from when I was working at the restaurant back home. And I told you about this. My oldest friend, I almost dated her. And we sat down and we talked. And we came to a couple of realizations. One, our temperaments were eerily identical. Or, not identical, eerily similar. Two, if we were to date and something was to go horrifically wrong because one of us lost our temper with the other one, how'd that affect our friendship that we've had for over 2 decades?
Yeah.
And 3, if something was to happen at the business because she was the owner's daughter, how would that affect us? And we came to the conclusion that
y'all were better off friends.
It would not be a good idea, and that we were better off as friends. You know, I've dated people that I've been in class with when I was in high school. One of my closest friends that I have, who lives down south. She is still a really close friend. I talk to her maybe a couple times a year. Seriously.
Yeah.
But every time that we talk, it's like we never missed a beat. We catch up, you know, do everything, you know, talk about what's new, what's been going on, all that kind of stuff. And then we go right back into this is how we are, this is it. And her and I have dated like 2-3 times. Proof that you can be friends after you date someone. And you break up as long as amicably.
Yeah.
Like her and I mutually agreed. Did we like being in a relationship with each other? Yes. Are we not compatible as romantic partners? Yes. Are we better off as friends? Yes. Is there a possibility for an extracurricular friendship? At that point in time, yeah, there was that possibility. And then I moved out here and she moved down to Georgia. And now we're still really good friends. But so I've never had that feeling or that experience that you've had where you've had a significant other working for you. However, I can honestly say I would be harder on you if I was your boss. Like, I call out people all the time, whether I know them or I don't. And it is funny because when it's like friends or family or whatnot, I expect them to remember that I have a certain way of doing things. And if you don't do things the way that I tell you to do things, then I'm going to say something to you.
And don't bitch when you can't figure it out.
Yeah. Like, I'm giving you a step-by-step, do this first, then this, then this, then this. And if you manage to follow that, you will get the job done in a quick and efficient manner. Because when I go ahead and I do stuff, I don't want to take all day in doing it. Whether it's moving, whether it's putting something together, whether it's figuring out certain things. I want to be energy efficient. I want to get things done in the least amount of time with the least amount of energy spent.
Speaking of energy, when he goes to the store today, don't forget to tell him to get you Monster.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry. ADD.
No, you're fine.
Bunny trail.
But this is how I do things. And even here, there have been times where it's like, hey, I need you to do something. And this is how I would like it done. And you're like, oh, yeah, I'll get it done. And you start working on it. And a timeline or time period goes by, and I'm like, because I'm working on something, and you're working on, like, hey, I need your help with something. And you're working on the help. I'm like, hey, I just wrapped up with what I'm working on. Are you done yet? No. Why didn't you do it the way that I told you to? Well, I just figured it would be, and you tell me the reason why you didn't do it the way that I did. Just like I do things when I do the same thing with you. You're like, hey, I want this done in this way. And when I do it my way, you're like, why are you doing it that way? I wanted it done this way.
Yeah, one of those things is the cabinets. Can you go over those and put a little elbow grease in it?
Are you asking me, or is this an example?
I'm asking you, and it's an example.
I'll see what I can do.
Yes. It's just the cabinets to the right of the microwave. There's that yellow greasy splash.
Yep. I will see what I can do. I won't promise that I'll remember, but it will eventually get done.
Yeah.
But it's along those lines, right? I've had friends that I've worked with. I can say I've had friends that I've worked with. Whether it's they got hired on because of a recommendation that I gave, or I became friends with them while I was working.
Yeah.
And then I got promoted, or I got given more responsibility, so I got put in charge of them. And I'm like, hey, I want things done this way. And they've messed up, and I'm like, yo, what the hell? And granted, I probably should have done things different or said things a different way, because it did cost me a couple of friendships. But some of the friends that I've had that have been like, oh, shit, he is serious. Like, yeah, I'm serious.
I mean, going back to the job we both have now, how many times have I come in after you, me being Graves and you being Swings, and asked you what the fuck is up with that, with the paperwork.
And what do I tell you? I didn't do it.
Or the other night, speaking of which, this is an example. You didn't have anything in the narrative. and it was a patient that came in at like 8-something, and you did the paperwork because everything was in your writing.
Oh, I can tell you why. Because I asked, because I wasn't able to hear the story because I was focused on somebody else.
Yeah.
Or I was focused on something else. I wasn't able to hear the narrative. Supervisor heard the narrative. I asked them, hey, what's the story? And he said, and you know exactly who I mean when I say he said.
Mm-hmm.
He said, I'll tell you in a bit. And he never came back.
Yeah, it's the same thing with signing paperwork, like the inventory paperwork. Hey, I need to sign this. Okay, I'll come back and do it in a minute. Oh, you forgot this morgue ticket back here. Oh, I'll come get that in a minute too. 4 hours later, he comes back, says, hey, do you need a break? Yeah, sure. I'll go to the bathroom, grab a snack, grab some coffee, come back. And he still forgets the morgue pickup paperwork. And he still forgets to sign the shit. It's like, dude, you were back here for 10 minutes. What the fuck?
But that's the reason why.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure because
it's not entirely my fault. I mean, I will take blame.
Find out the narrative.
I will take blame because I should have said something. I should have pestered, but I wasn't thinking.
Yeah, we're like I said, I found it out, but like even with that as an example, I will literally say something to you. I don't give a shit who you are. If I come in and I see it's your writing on the paperwork, I'm gonna be like, hey, you didn't do this. Why?
Yeah.
And I'm not a supervisor.
Which is why I always make sure that all of my paperwork I have all my ducks in a row. Granted, part of that is thanks to my mom, because I used to help her get.
You don't have ducks; they're not in a row, and one of them's over there pretending to be a chicken.
Excuse me, I do have ducks. They're just all on my desk and in a drawer. Okay.
They're not in a row. And one of those bastards probably wandered off.
Those 2 in a row. Those 6 are in a row. Those 2 in a row. Those 2 in a row. They're pretty much in a row.
Not all of your ducks are in a row.
I didn't say all of my ducks. I said a majority of my ducks. Thanks. And all of the ducks that I have out and about right now, 96% of them are in a row of some sort. Anyways. But no, part of my whole why I do the paperwork that I do the way that I do is because of my mom. Like I used to help my mom organize paperwork and get stuff done when when I was younger, because she's a district administrator for a chemical company. Not gonna go any further into that, but she's been there for
a long time.
And when she first started, it was when she first started. Shortly after that, about like 2-3 years, there was several times where she would bring paperwork home that she needed to organize so that way she could file it correctly at work the next day. And me and my sister would go ahead and we'd be bored and, all that kind of jazz. So we'd ask her like, hey, do you want us to help? And she's like, yeah, I need your help organizing this paperwork. Here's this little metal accordion thing. It's an organizer.
The accordion folders?
No, not an accordion folder. It literally is for filing.
Yeah.
But it's a separator. It's a metal accordion separator thing. It itself is not a folder. But she's like, do them in alphabetical order, and all that kind of stuff. So we go ahead and these are A's, these are B's, these are C's, yada, 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 all down the line. We get done with that stack, and then I would go through and organize them even further. So AA, AB, AC, AD, all the way down. And, after that, there were some, if there were multiple of the same company or the same, names, I would go even further than that and organize it by the date of the invoice. So let's say AA has 4 different invoices, right? And they're all on different dates. After I organize it by, AA, these are all of AA stuff. Cool. 1/1, 2-1, 3-1, 4-1. Cool. This stack is done. Boom. And I would just, and it would take a couple of hours, but I could do that, like, I would just do it automatically. And there eventually came a point where my sister was like, well, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm like, cool, more for me. And I'd sit there and I'd help my mom for hours organizing this stuff. So like that's why I don't have a problem with doing the paperwork.
And the funny thing is like even the supervisors, they notice that the way I do the paperwork is starting to spread, and now everything's becoming a little more consistent, and that there are certain ways that I do certain things, and that's why certain projects get given to me, like organizing the paperwork for patient valuables that have already been picked up and given back or whatever, the return receipt basically, and I'm the only one that gets to organize that. Then the restraints, I'm the only one that gets to deep clean them because apparently I do a good job. And yeah, so there's certain jobs that only I am tasked with because of the way I do things.
And there are certain things that I do that I'm tasked with. Like half the time when it's me and your favorite supervisor, I'm not being facetious when I say that.
Yeah.
We'll get somebody that comes in, and she looks at me and she goes, get on the paperwork. I'm like, I already got it started. I'm just waiting on the narrative. And I'll write down everything that I hear from the people who are bringing them in.
Oh my God, speaking of paperwork.
And I will even put in a little bit more detail of stuff that I'm observing from the patient that has come in. And then she'll take a look. She goes, oh, I didn't even notice that. It's like, yeah.
It's funny because the first night I met our new big boss, we had one come in. We just got him settled in 25. And then 24 and 26 came within 5 minutes of each other. So I was still writing. It was only about 10 minutes after 25 came in that 24 and 26 showed up at the same time. And I was writing a few things down and doing our normal check because it was like a quarter after or whatever. And the other two show up, and the big boss comes back. The new big boss comes back, and he introduces himself, and I'm finishing up that paperwork when the other two show up. And then at the same time, I'm listening to two different sets of EMS crews about two different patients and writing everything down. And he goes, how the hell did you do that? Like I was doing 3 sets of paperwork at once, listening to 3 separate EMS or nurse or whatever was in the room at that time, because I had 25 that I was still getting info about, and I had 24 and 26 that I was getting info from the EMS, along with doing 25's inventory at the same time. And our big boss, the program manager, he just looks at me like, holy shit.
I stunned one of the people who had been there longer at one point, because there was a point in time where I had a couple of people that I was watching, and I was focusing on one person who is a little more troublesome, and one of the other people started getting up and out of bed, and without looking up from writing in the paperwork, I'm like, you better park it. And they just stopped, and the coworker that was back there, who is the only one left from my shift, just looked at me. He's like, what? And I just pointed over to the room, and he pulls his head around, and he sees him like frozen in place, like not moving. And once they see him, they're like, they fully sat back down. And he goes, how did you? I'm like, I could hear the bed shift. He goes, but you're look. I'm like, I understand that. My ADD kicked in, and I'm like, I got this person I'm watching who is trying to act like they're asleep, but they're not.
Playing possum.
And you just see them like stiffen real quick. And I'm like, and then this person just decided that they were going to get up when I told them, give me a minute and I will get you to the bathroom. And they're like, sorry. And, you know, but the main issue is we're bitching. It's what it boils down to, is we're bitching.
It's fun.
Because it doesn't make sense. Like, it really doesn't. And
something ain't broke, don't fix it.
A lot of people are a lot of the people that are on the shifts are not happy.
Especially one of my people that are on the shift with me normally got switched to days and is losing his differential because of it.
And yet they're more focused on two people, or at least one person in very particular, that if they don't get their way, they whine, complain,
turn
and
around
bitch
and act like one
night,
of our patients.
And then the next shift that they're scheduled for, they don't show up. They're, oh, I'm sick.
Yep.
It's like, if I did that for every shift that I didn't want to work,
yeah,
I would not be working there.
And it's funny because this person, the only way that they would go over to West the day that they did,
they were late for.
No. I'm talking about more recently, because it was after our big boss started, when he was now finally over it.
Oh, right.
On the site. That he had that person go over there, and the only way that they would go over there is not only they got 4 hours of show up time, but they also got an hour of travel, plus they got lunch paid for by the program manager, anything they wanted.
That's some bullshit.
Yeah. But here we are taking time away from our family and each other and shit that we need to get done to help out over there, and we're not getting shit.
No, we're getting taken advantage of.
We're not even getting compensation for the distance we have to travel and the expenditure for that travel.
No, we're getting taken advantage of. Like, the whole reason why we are on the shifts that we are is because you and I both help out over there. We volunteer our time over there. I can guarantee you that if we did not volunteer our time over there, our schedules would not look the way that they do.
Nope.
And it's like, okay, we're helping plug a hole that needs to be mended. I get that. But eventually, either the plug fails, us, or the hole gets worse. And the way that it's going, and I hate to say it this way, the plugs are going to fail. There's going to come a point in time where we are just so beat down, burnt out, however you want to say it, that we're going to look at them and be like, we can't do this anymore. You need to find somebody else. And what are they going to do then? Oh, we really need you to do this. No.
Or
it
my
is not
personal
in my
favorite.
contract. It's not in my job description to cover your holes. It is not in my job description to go ahead and fix the mistakes. It is in my job description to do my job at the location that I was hired for. If you want to move me over there, feel free.
Because I can guarantee you that if you end up losing your shit and saying, I can't do that anymore, I can guarantee you my schedule will change again, and I will be over there permanently.
I don't think you'll be over there permanently.
Nope. I've already been told that if there comes a point in time where they can't send you over there anymore, for whatever reason, like they need you on...
Which I don't understand why they would.
The shift or whatever, that I would probably be over there 3 days. If we were doing 8s again, I'd be there, or at main campus, that I would be at the other location Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then do Sunday, Monday at our location. And I already got told that I would do 3 12s and 2 8s.
Which, once again, it doesn't make any sense. Because you're not fixing a problem.
I know. And that's the thing is, like, I made the decision, I told you I made the decision that if certain things don't fucking straighten out and I come back to basically a shit show after my leave, after having surgery next Thursday, that I'm going to be asked to move, I'm going to ask to move over there permanently because I can't deal with it anymore. Because I'm not going to continue to put my life in danger for someone that's going to pretty much stab me in the back.
Yeah. Well, I've already told you that if things keep going the way that I see them going, that I'm done. And I like my job. I like helping people. I like being able.
You just have to. I hate to say it this way, but you have to stay there long enough for me to find out what's going on with the hiring bonus. Since you put me down as a reference.
Oh, talk to them.
Because it's a $500 bonus.
Which you should have already gotten.
I don't know. That's what I was trying to find out.
No, you should have already gotten it.
I think you have to be there 6 months in order for me to get
90 days. I'm pretty like if I remember correctly. Now I might be not remembering correctly, but I'm pretty sure I did. The first time I applied over there, I put one of our neighbors, just like you did.
Yep.
The second time I put in for there, I put you down. Now, which one they used, couldn't tell you.
Yeah.
But no, it's just I don't know. I'm always looking for the next possibility. You know,
better opportunities.
Yeah. So that's never stopped. But I'm hoping that I can last at least long enough to get into a better opportunity before I say, fuck this shit, I'm out. And if I am, great.
Yeah.
You know, but that's why we have backups. That's why we have plan Bs. That's why we have plan Gs. You know, we have a set number of
we have different scenarios.
Yeah. And it's just I'm getting real sick and tired of this shit. I haven't gotten to the point where you know, I'm done and I'm leaving and you know all that kind of stuff. But it's getting there. I will be honest. It's getting there.
I mean, I've been there about 10 months. I think, depending on what day it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been there 10 months. And certain things have gone downhill and certain things have gotten better. But for the most part right now, it's downhill. And I think that's what's bothering me about the whole situation is, like, they talked to us about the possibility that we'd switch to 12s because of how short-staffed we are. And if we lose X amount of people, we have no choice but to go to 12s just so that we could have enough people here to safely control the environment, basically. Right. And I had asked, hey, is that going to affect, you know, him and I not being on the same night, even if it's at different locations or the same location, because we have, like I said before, circle back around, we have a kiddo that's on the autism spectrum, and we have a 15-year-old daughter. Like, they're like, oh yeah, that's, yeah, you guys won't be overnight at the same time. Things will pretty much stay the same, but he'll more than likely go to days, and then he'll have his days off before he goes to do those 2 night shifts. So that won't be a problem. Surprise! Guess what? You're both working Thursday overnights.
Yep.
So
it's like they talked to us about it, but they never got our opinion.
Yeah.
And any opinion that we gave them, they didn't listen to. It's what it boils down to. Like, why
pretty
ask
much.
for our opinion in the first place if you're not going to listen to our opinion?
Yeah, pretty much.
If it's not valuable, then why ask? That's wasting energy. That's wasting time and effort. Like, why sit down and have a, a half-hour conversation with someone if it's going to not be for anything, I just... I
don't know, my love.
I've worked at a lot of places that have been a little, we'll say, funky with scheduling. A lot of the different retail places, or a lot of places I worked at were retail, and, schedules change. 1 week you have off Tuesday and Wednesday. The next week you have off Friday, Saturday.
Rotating schedules.
Well, no, it's not even rotating because there were some people who were getting the same schedule every week. And then there are other people who were like me. You know what? We're going to put up a calendar. We're going to throw darts, and whatever 2 days those darts land on, those are your 2 days off. We're going to do it blindfolded too. But I don't know. The amount of disrespect I feel is a lot more than any other place that I've worked at. Because instead of it being like, hey, we work with nurses, and the nurses need to count on us to be able to control a situation where somebody's being a little unruly, or they're wanting to leave and they're not allowed to, or they're getting a little aggressive, that kind of stuff. They're supposed to go ahead and be like, look, this is why you guys are here. We trust you to have our backs. We trust you to, yada, yada, this, yada, yada, that. It doesn't feel that way. It feels like it's you guys are outsiders.
You don't have a choice.
You guys are outsiders. We are in charge of you. So if you don't do what we're telling you to, then we're going to go to the program manager and the head of security for the hospital to to file a complaint against you because you weren't doing what we told you to. And it's like, we're not here to do what you told us to. We are here to make sure that you can go home in one piece and unbroken. And it's very much a us versus them kind of thing. I mean, one of the bosses, one of the previous supervisors, the supervisor that I directly reported to, he was very much a us versus them. And then even further than that, our team versus everybody else. And it's like, that's not how this works. We're supposed to be a team, one functioning, cohesive unit to do our job and to make sure that everyone is able to go home safe and sound. Why do we have to put it like it's us versus the world? That's not a team. That's a group of individuals splitting off. You know what? You know what they used to call that in colonial times, or during times of medieval. That's called desertion and treason, and attempting a coup de grace. That is trying to overthrow somebody in power. And you know what happened to those people? If it didn't work, they got killed. And yes, I said it the way that I did for a reason. But they got banished from the kingdom, which is what happened to him. He got banished from the kingdom.
Yeah.
Granted, there was a lot of other things that happened, which resulted in him being banished from the kingdom, but that didn't help. But why does it seem like even beyond this, right? Beyond this situation, it is almost like the world has went from, we're all, to steal a line from a Disney musical, whatever, we're all in this together, to it's us versus everybody else. And while we have allies, we're also developing plans in case our allies turn on us. It's like the Justice League, Batman having a contingency plan to neutralize all of everybody else, including himself, which is weird. He's like, I have a plan for everyone, and
including myself. Flash, we're all gonna die.
I think the Flash was like, well, what if you go bad? He goes, I got a plan for that too. And they ended up having to use it, by the way. But no, it's like why do we what changed that it is turned into this?
People.
Like, well, even with that being said, we have a huge mixture between different ages. And as much as like the younger generation Alpha or whatever the fuck they're called, they're like, "Oh, we want everyone to get along and love and this and that and the other thing." And then you flip on like TikTok or YouTube or Facebook or whatever you choose to consume digital products, like videos and whatnot, and you see these generation alphas like beating the shit out of each other. It's like, look,
they're either beating the shit out of each other, trying to be a rapper, or God, now I lost my train of thought.
An influencer.
Yeah, an influencer. They like that. That's the only job they want, and if they can't become an influencer, then screw everything else.
Yeah, like I'm gonna say this, and I'm ashamed slightly to say this. I am a millennial.
I'm kind of in between millennial and Gen X. I'm right at that age.
But I was raised on Gen X.
I'm an elder millennial.
I was raised on Gen X mindset. Like, my parents are very firmly Gen X, right? That's how I was brought up. Like, we call it nowadays, it's, well, you were raised old school. You're damn skippy. I was raised old school.
That was literally the fucking fuck around and find out era.
You had beef with someone, you settled it.
Granted, most of the time it was with fists on the school playground,
or
3:30.
In the street, after school, in a parking lot somewhere. You spoke your mind and you held true to that.
And you didn't get ostracized or degraded because you voice your opinion.
Granted, was it perfect? No, because mental health was not even a thing at that point. But why can't we take a combination of some of the new stuff, like the focus on mental health, and mix it with, let's just be honest. Let's speak our minds. If you're offended, good. Be offended. That is your right. But I should not have to bow down and kowtow to what you have to say because you're offended. Because guess what? By you getting offended and trying to make me bend over and bow down to your opinion, that's making me offended. So who wins in that situation? If we're all offended,
nobody.
Who wins? I know, I'll tell you who wins. The one who doesn't give a fuck. You're offended? Okay. I'm offended?
Then
okay.
be offended.
Be offended. That's fine. Be sad. Be angry. Be upset. Identify as an attack helicopter or a piece of burnt toast.
Right.
Or my personal favorite as a joke, identify as Michael Jackson. My pronouns are he. I don't care. Shut up. But that doesn't mean that you get to push what you think and what you believe onto me.
Yeah, and that's the thing that people don't get.
That's the thing. I will have a conversation with you. I will listen to your opinion. But if I don't agree with your opinion, guess what? I'm not going to agree with your opinion. I'm not going to give you the satisfaction of being like, oh, yeah, I totally agree. And I don't. I'm going to tell you straight up to your face, nah, you're an idiot. Or that's dumb. Or I don't agree with that. I'm going to tell you with no uncertain terms that I do not agree with you. And if you don't like that, great. That's your choice.
Beware, my mother may try to contact you. Put your phone on silent.
If you don't agree with mine, great. Don't care. But don't sit there and
Opinions are like assholes. Everybody's got them and they stink.
Don't sit there and get all butthurt because I'm not listening to your opinion. Why aren't you listening to mine then? Who says that your opinion is right and mine is wrong? Who says mine is right and yours is wrong? No, it's your opinion. Unless your opinion comes with a multi-page pamphlet of irrefutable, or what's the word?
Irrefutable.
Thank you. Irrefutable and medically tested or scientifically tested by several different scientists. Fact. I don't want to hear it. It's just your opinion. It is not a fact. There's a reason why there are theories, there are opinions, and then there are facts. Opinions are the thought. Theory is putting a thought, good Lord, putting a thought into
an action
to test it.
Yeah.
A fact is when that theory is proven correct. Like there's a reason why it's called a theory of relativity, because it's very hard to test it. You know, that's why they're called conspiracy theories, because it's not
like
a fact.
Most of them are true.
You know, here's a fact. The ground is the ground.
Sky is the sky.
Trees, you can burn them. You can make things out of them. You can smack people in the head with them, provided they're in the right shape.
They're fun.
But trees exist. Sharks exist. Lizard men, not a fact. Although, depending on who you ask. Anyways, that's for another day. But like, there are nice people. That's a fact. There are assholes. I'm a living fact. I'm a living testament to that fact. But at the end of the day, if you don't have any proof behind it, it's just an opinion. If you can create proof by doing tests, then it's a theory. And if multiple people do the same test and get the same result, it's a fact. Don't sit there and spit your opinions at me and just expect
opinions have to be replicated several times over to become a fact.
Don't sit there and try to shove your opinion down my throat and be like, you need to listen to this. Correction. I am in my mid-30s. I don't need to listen to shit. I don't need to do anything that I personally don't want to do. And half the time, you have to drag me kicking and screaming into doing something that I don't want to do. Hey, I want to go out to dinner tonight. I don't want to go anywhere. We're going out to dinner. But I don't want to. We're going out to dinner. Fine.
We'll go somewhere with alcohol.
Okay. That makes it okay. You know, but that's... Why do we have to have it as an us versus them? Why is it my opinion versus your opinion? Whatever happened to the days of conversations and discussions and debates?
That went the way of the dinosaur when people started texting.
This is coming from the person who refuses to call someone because it's faster.
I don't like talking to people.
You love talking to people. What do you mean?
Not on the phone.
If you have your Bluetooth, yeah, you do. You'll sit there and talk with one of your friends, you know, for 2-3 hours on your Bluetooth, but you can't spend 5 minutes on a fucking phone call with me if you don't have your Bluetooth. Like, what the fuck? Put my ass on speakerphone. That way you don't have to hold the phone up. My throat is really dry. Holy crap.
Yeah, and my meds mysteriously kicked in. So I'm trying to sit up and last the last few minutes.
We'll call it here. Long story short, for those people who decided to just skip to the end or you want to recap, TLDR, corporations suck. Opinions suck. People suck. Be a better person. Whether it's
do
at
better
your
by
job,
people.
whether it's at your job or just out and about, be nice.
Yeah.
Be kind. Care. Don't shove your opinion down someone's throat and just expect them
to be okay with it.
To accept
or agree.
It is just an opinion.
At the end of the day, we are all bags of bones.
At the end of the day, we are all meat and flesh mechs being piloted by a bunch of chemical reactions.
And nerves.
That's it. It's a very nihilistic way of thinking about it, and I apologize.
Meh.
But we're all meat suits being piloted by
some weirdo.
Like how much does a brain weigh?
8.5 pounds.
8.5 pound, collection
bundle of nerves, neurons,
and chemicals. Stop! Don't be. We say it every time, and we'll get to that here in a second.
Take a quote from Philly D. Don't be stupid.
Yep. So with that being said, thank y'all so much for listening. We really do appreciate it. We apologize that this one was a little
weird,
venty, and us bitching a lot.
We needed it.
Yeah, we really did. If you are listening to us on Spotify and you want to show Spotify that you enjoyed hearing what you listened to, hit the download button. It really does help us. It lets Spotify know we like these people. We want to hear more opinions that they have. If you are listening to us on another platform, as a note, for those of you who are unaware, if you're listening to us on Google Podcasts, within the next couple of months, Google Podcasts is going away. We are going to be moving to YouTube Music, I believe, where you can find all of your podcasts you can import all your podcasts that you listen to onto YouTube Music. It's a free app. It's great. I use it all the time. Anyways, if you would like to donate to the show, there is a link in the description. You don't have to. It does help. Anything that is donated, we put right back into the show to make it try to be a little bit better than how it started. But as always, thank y'all so much for listening. We really do appreciate it. Don't forget to love each other. And as
always,
remember,
don't be a dick.
Don't be a dick, guys. Okay, bye.
Bye.